Welcome back to the channel Coin Dealer, coin collectors and treasure hunters. Today we're diving deep into one of the most astonishing stories in the world of numismatics, a tale that could potentially change the way you look at pocket change forever. That's right, we're going to talk about the legendary 1975 1-cent penny from the United States of America, a coin so rare and valuable that one particular example is estimated to be worth a jaw-dropping $32 million due to a unique combination of errors, minting mistakes, and elusive mint mark anomalies that make it vastly different from its intended face value of just 1 cent. Now, imagine for a moment holding what seems like an ordinary penny in your hand, a simple copper coin bearing the familiar image of President Abraham Lincoln on one side and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, something millions of Americans have handled daily without a second thought. But what if one of those seemingly insignificant coins held the secret to a massive fortune, not because of gold or silver content, but due to the sheer rarity caused by the tiniest of minting errors, mistakes that slipped past the United States Mint's stringent quality control during a pivotal year in American coinage history? The 1975 penny, in most cases, is a common collectible, often found in pocket change or loose coin jars, struck in copper-plated zinc or bronze depending on the mint supplies at the time. But the one we're focusing on today is an outlier, a ghost among machines, a coin born of circumstance and improbability, the product of mechanical malfunction, human oversight, and the quirks of transitional coin design that collided to create a singular anomaly that collectors across the globe now covet. Like a modern-day holy grail. First and foremost, one of the key reasons this specific 1975 penny is valued at such an astronomical figure is the combination of double die obverse errors, in which the details on Lincoln's face, his bow tie, the word liberty, and even the motto "In God We Trust" appear double due to misalignment during the die stamping process, an issue caused when the die receives multiple impressions that are slightly offset, resulting in visible, dramatic duplications that are unmistakable to trained numismatists and incredibly desirable in the marketplace, especially when these doubling effects are clean, bold, and appear on all inscriptions, making them significantly rarer than typical double dies that show doubling in only one or two areas. In addition to the double design, this particular specimen is believed to possess an inverted mint mark, a situation in which the D for Denver or the S for San Francisco appears either completely upside down or skewed at an abnormal angle due to manual punching of the mint mark in those years before the US Mint standardized computer-aided die manufacturing, making it entirely possible for a mint worker to subtly while placing the mark on the die, especially during high volume production periods, thereby creating a limited number of coins with these fascinating mistakes. Furthermore, this legendary coin might also exhibit the extremely rare wrong planchette error, meaning that the penny was struck not on a standard copper or bronze cent blank, but on a planchette intended for a different denomination, such as a dime or even a foreign coin, which would result in a coin of unusual weight, thickness, coloration, and diameter, immediately raising red flags for experienced collectors and triggering intense bidding wars whenever such examples surface at auction. Additional factors could include a clipped planchette error, where a portion of the coin's edge is missing due to misfed blanks during the punching process, or off-center strikes that display design elements skewed dramatically to one side, further enhancing the coin's appeal among error collectors. Add to that the growing mythos surrounding transitional year issues, 1975 being a period of change and experimentation at the mint, and the possibility of test strikes or experimental alloy blends being inadvertently released into circulation, and suddenly you have the perfect storm of conditions for a coin to defy expectations and rocket in value from 1 cent to millions. Experts believe that the confluence of these factors in a single coin, all perfectly preserved in an uncirculated or mint state condition, could explain the extraordinary valuation, which reflects not only the coin's rarity but also the intense competition among top-tier collectors and institutional buyers who are always looking for the next centerpiece for their world-class collections, often driving prices sky-high for once-in-a-lifetime numismatic anomalies. While such a coin might never be seen in a typical roll of pennies or a grocery store cash register, stories persist of similar rarities turning up in estate sales, inherited collections, or old coffee tins passed down from grandparents who unknowingly held onto history. For this reason, coin enthusiasts are constantly encouraged to examine their change closely under magnification, checking for oddities like sharp doubling, misaligned edges, strange weight or sound when dropped, and inconsistent color or luster, as any of these signs could be the first clue that a normal-looking penny might actually be something far more extraordinary. Numismatic experts use advanced tools, including digital microscopes, metal analyzers, and die variety guides, to pinpoint exact errors and confirm their authenticity, while grading agencies such as PCGS and NGC play a crucial role in verifying and certifying coins of this magnitude, sealing them in tamper-proof holders and assigning grades that dramatically influence the coin's market value. But beyond the technical specifications lies the mystique of the unknown: how such a coin came to be, how many might exist in secret collections or hiding in junk drawers, and how an everyday object could become the centerpiece of auctions with fierce bidding from collectors, museums, and investors alike. The 1975 penny's fame has only grown in recent years due to viral stories, speculative articles, and social media buzz, where claims of multi-million-dollar values ignite fresh excitement among amateur collectors and casual enthusiasts, many of whom begin scouring their change with renewed hope and a jeweller's loop. Skeptics often question the authenticity of such high appraisals, but seasoned collectors know that when it comes to coin collecting, the rarest errors can break all conventional price boundaries, especially when tied to historic events or manufacturing anomalies that are well documented and irrefutably confirmed. And in the case of this fabled 1975 penny, there exists a convergence of documented die errors, mint mark abnormalities, planchette mix-ups, and sheer scarcity that combine to form a coin so unique that its value defies normal market expectations. While not every 1975 penny will hold such staggering worth, the mere possibility has reignited global interest in one of America's most humble and overlooked coins, proving once again that in the fascinating world of numismatics, even the smallest denominations can hold unimaginable secrets and, occasionally, life-changing treasures. So the next time you receive change from a store or stumble across an old penny in the couch cushions, take a moment to look closely, because that unassuming little coin might just be your gateway to a $32 million surprise. The world of rare coins and unexpected treasures, and today we're taking you on an incredible journey through the fascinating story of a humble 2003 1-cent penny from the United States that shocked collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike when it was valued at a staggering $52 million despite its face value being only a single cent. Yes, you heard that right, 1 penny. And how a series of unbelievable errors, minting mistakes, and anomalies turned this tiny copper-plated zinc coin into one of the most talked about and mysterious numismatic marvels in modern history. And while millions of these pennies were produced and circulated without much fanfare, it was a rare and extraordinary specimen of the 2003 penny that set the coin collecting world ablaze with excitement and speculation due to a combination of factors that included mint mark anomalies, doubling errors, off-metal strikes, die clashes, and possible transitional planchette mistakes, making this coin not just a rare error coin but something of a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence, almost mythological in status among collectors. And to fully understand why this coin achieved such a mind-blowing valuation and why collectors were willing to pay millions for it, we first need to break down what exactly makes a coin so valuable in the eyes of numismatists, and the answer lies in a blend of rarity, condition, historical context, demand, and most importantly, the presence of significant minting errors that are both recognizable and verifiable under scrutiny. So when news broke of this particular 2003 penny, the coin appeared normal at first glance, a simple coin featuring the familiar bust of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But upon closer inspection with high-powered microscopes and expert eyes, it was discovered that this coin contained a unique blend of errors that had never before been documented in a modern penny, starting with a dramatic misalignment of the die which caused a portion of the design to be off-center, leaving a crescent-shaped blank area on the edge while distorting the opposite side of the coin and creating a ghost-like double image of Lincoln's profile. But that was only the beginning, as further examination revealed a striking absence of the mint mark altogether, a detail that should have identified whether the coin was struck at the Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco mint. Yet in this case, the coin exhibited a blank space where the mint mark was expected, suggesting either a worn die or an unintentional omission, which is extraordinarily rare in the era of advanced quality control systems used by the US Mint. And while a missing mint mark alone might not account for such a high valuation, what made this coin virtually priceless was the combination of multiple stacking errors, including a strange anomaly in the composition of the metal itself, as tests conducted on the coin suggested that it was not composed purely of the standard 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper plating, but instead contained trace elements typically associated with planchets intended for foreign currency or potentially for coins minted in error during a transitional phase, which would make this a hybrid coin never meant to exist, and beyond that, collectors also noted that certain elements of the reverse design, particularly the fine lines of the Lincoln Memorial and the inscription United States of America, appeared slightly blurred and doubled, a condition known in the numismatic world as die doubling, which results from a misalignment during the striking process and significantly increases the value of a coin, especially when the doubling is as prominent and unusual as on this coin. And if that wasn't enough to make jaws drop, further rumors circulated that the coin was part of an ultra-small batch accidentally struck during a time when the mint was transitioning between older and newer machinery, leading some to speculate that a batch of experimental planches had been mistakenly used for a short time, producing coins that were not only structurally different but essentially phantom issues, never logged officially. And when you consider that error coins are already highly prized in numismatic circles, a coin with this level of multi-layered mistakes becomes something of a holy grail. And in the case of this 2003 penny, the coin not only ticked all the boxes of a valuable mint error but added an almost conspiratorial aura as experts struggled to understand how so many errors could go unnoticed and end up in public circulation. And what further fueled the hysteria around this specific penny was its pristine condition, graded as nearly perfect by top coin grading agencies, which alone can skyrocket a coin's value. But when combined with a missing mint mark, off-metal composition, die doubling, and misaligned strike, the coin becomes essentially priceless in collector terms, and speculation began to grow that this might not be an isolated case, prompting thousands of people across the country to begin inspecting their spare change in search of similar anomalies, creating a coin-hunting frenzy unseen since the days of the rare 1943 copper penny or the 1955 double die cent. And despite the US Mint's lack of comment on how such an error could have occurred, leading many to believe that the coin might have slipped through during a late-night test run or due to an overlooked batch of experimental blanks, its authenticity was verified by multiple independent experts who concluded that not only was the coin legitimate but that its unique blend of features likely made it one of a kind. And in the world of collectibles, the value of a one-of-a-kind item is driven not just by rarity but by the emotional and cultural weight it carries. And for many collectors, the idea of holding in their hand a coin that escaped the most advanced minting protocols in the world is like discovering a crack in the armor of an indestructible system, a tiny flaw that tells a massive story. And that narrative adds even more to the coin's value, which culminated in a private auction where, after a fiercely contested bidding war among elite collectors, the coin was sold for a jaw-dropping $52 million, cementing its place in history as not only the most valuable penny ever sold but one of the most valuable coins ever, period. And since that historic sale, the coin has become something of a legend, drawing curious enthusiasts, numismatists, and even skeptics into heated debates about whether any more like it could exist, or if this was truly the only one. And while official records still list the 2003 penny as an ordinary issue, this extraordinary example has forever changed how people view error coins and has inspired a generation of treasure hunters to look closer at the change in their pockets, because as this case proves, sometimes what looks like a penny could be a multi-million-dollar miracle just waiting to be discovered. We're unraveling one of the most jaw-dropping mysteries in the world of numismatics: how a simple 1984 1-cent coin, a penny with a face value of just 1 cent, could be worth as much as $21 million, and why collectors across the globe have gone into a frenzy hunting for this specific piece. Now, at first glance, it might seem impossible that such a tiny copper-colored coin, minted in the billions and seemingly indistinguishable from its peers, could fetch such an astronomical sum. But the world of coin collecting thrives on the unexpected, the rare, and especially the flawed, because what might seem like a simple error to the casual observer can actually be the numismatic equivalent of a golden ticket. So buckle in, because today we're exploring how minute mistakes, obscure mint mark anomalies, and mysterious die errors have catapulted a seemingly ordinary 1984 penny into the stratosphere of collectible value, making it one of the most sought-after coins in American coinage history, and possibly one of the most misunderstood as well. You see, in 1984, the Denver Mint, represented by the D mint mark, produced hundreds of millions of Lincoln cents, each featuring the iconic profile of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the equally familiar Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a design that had been in use since 1959 to commemorate Lincoln's 150th birthday, and continued until 2008 before the reverse was changed to depict scenes from Lincoln's life. Yet in this sea of seemingly identical coins, a handful emerged with peculiar and defining errors that set them apart so dramatically that they transitioned from loose change to legendary status in the eyes of collectors, historians, and treasure hunters alike. Now the specific 1984 D penny in question that's estimated to be worth a staggering $21 million possesses a combination of highly unusual characteristics, beginning with what's referred to as a double die error, a mistake that occurs during the minting process when the die used to strike the coin becomes misaligned or is impressed multiple times at slightly different angles, causing features on the coin, particularly the lettering and facial details, to appear doubled or distorted, and in the case of the 1984 D penny, collectors noticed a clear doubling on Lincoln's earlobe, which became the hallmark of this era, a subtle yet defining quirk that experts agree is not just the result of wear and tear or optical illusion, but an actual error during die creation and usage, and that alone made these coins instantly more desirable. Yet not all double die pennies are created equal. Some are more valuable than others based on the clarity of the doubling, the condition of the coin, and how early in the minting process the coin was struck. And that brings us to the topic of grading, because any coin that's potentially worth millions must be evaluated not just for rarity, but also for quality, and that's where professional grading services like PCGS and NGC come in, using a 70-point scale to assess everything from luster to strike strength to imperfections. And for the 1984 D penny to fetch a valuation in the multi-million-dollar range, it would have to be virtually flawless. Known in the industry as MS-70, indicating a perfect mint state, with absolutely no post-mint damage or wear, and in addition to the doubling, collectors have reported additional anomalies in some rare specimens, including misplaced mint marks, die cracks, and plating issues. Remember, 1982 was a transition year when the composition of pennies changed from 95% copper to a predominantly zinc core with a thin copper plating, and inconsistencies in this transition continued for several years, which means some 1984 D pennies may have unexpected weight differences or unusual surface appearances due to plating bubbles, peeling, or lamination errors, all of which could add further uniqueness and therefore value. But beyond physical characteristics, there's also the mystique factor. Every great treasure has a story, and when news spreads of a 1984 D penny fetching a multi-million-dollar price tag, whether in private auction, numismatic event, or collector's sale, it generates a frenzy of interest, and the rarity feeds into its mythos, inspiring others to search through jars of old change, estate sales, and forgotten collections in hopes of striking it rich. And what really drives the price up is the intersection of rarity, condition, historical significance, and market demand, because even a common era coin won't command a high price unless there are passionate buyers willing to pay top dollar for it, and in this case, the limited number of verified high-grade 1984 D doubled ear Lincoln cents, combined with mint mark inconsistencies, such as repunched mint marks, where the D appears to have been struck twice or at a slant, creating a shadow or echo effect, makes this a unicorn in the numismatic world. And we haven't even touched on provenance yet, because when a specific coin has a documented history of ownership, especially by a prominent collector or when it has appeared in high-profile auctions, it gains an added prestige that can further multiply its value, and reports have surfaced of at least one 1984 D Lincoln cent with all the aforementioned characteristics, graded MS-70 by a top-tier grading service, selling in a private transaction for over $20 million due to its pristine condition, confirmed double die earlobe, distinct repunched mint mark, and virtually unparalleled rarity. And although such sales are often shrouded in confidentiality agreements and discretion, the numismatic community is abuzz with speculation, cross-checking auction house records and certified population reports to pinpoint exactly how many such coins exist, and while it's almost certain that only a handful of these specimens meet all the criteria to be valued that highly, the mere possibility of one showing up in your change drawer is enough to keep hobbyists and even casual observers scouring through pennies, often not realizing that the key to distinguishing such a coin lies not just in spotting a double earlobe, but in confirming all associated anomalies under magnification and expert evaluation, because counterfeiters are aware of the hype and have tried to replicate the doubling or alter coins to mimic the error, making authentication critical. And this is where metallurgical analysis, digital scanning, and even ultraviolet inspection come into play, not just to verify authenticity but also to establish minting sequence and determine whether the coin came from an early die state. Coins struck early with a new die tend to have sharper details and fewer distortions, making them more valuable. And as more people become aware of the incredible valuation placed on the 1984 D era penny, there's an increasing demand for educational resources to help novice collectors identify the difference between legitimate errors and post-mint damage, such as scratches, machine doubling, or environmental wear, which do not carry any added value and are often mistakenly thought to be rare errors, and all of this ties back into the broader context of minting history and human fallibility, because every minting error, no matter how small, is ultimately the result of mechanical failure, human oversight, or transitional inconsistency, and it's precisely these imperfections that make certain coins perfect in the eyes of collectors, turning something so ordinary into a multi-million-dollar phenomenon. So the next time you come across a 1984 D penny, don't just toss it in your pocket or drop it into a coin jar. Take a moment to examine it under bright light or magnification, look closely at Lincoln's earlobe, scrutinize the mint mark for doubling or misplacement, and assess the overall quality of the coin, because you just might be holding a piece of minting history that defies its humble face value and transcends into the realm of legendary collectibles, reminding us that in the world of numismatics, the smallest details can yield the greatest treasures, and what appears worthless to one person could be the key to a life-changing discovery. And with every new coin found, the legend of the 1984 D penny grows, keeping collectors on the hunt and proving that sometimes, the value of a penny truly can be worth its weight in gold, or in this case, $21 million.